Actually, this is me and my brother having a conversation about mental health. Well, this month being Movember,
Yes.
bringing awareness to men's mental health in this space. But this is the first time us brothers and a group of friends have decided to do something for Movember. Obviously, you can see the moustaches that we got here. It's pretty interesting.
Yep.
But maybe let's talk about how this all started. Like what? Because it all started with you. It was your idea, and you presented it to the boys, and we all jumped on the wagon. But you've done it before.
Yes, I have. So I've done it with a few of my mates at work. It was actually introduced to me by one of my mates who has done it for some time. And yeah, he basically just told us, try and join the cause to raise awareness for men's health and suicide prevention. And I thought, man, that's, that relates to me and something I can do at least, whether it's to grow a mow or do some sort of activity to raise awareness for this special cause. So yeah, I thought, why not the brothers? Give it a try. Especially with that one trip that we just had with the boys, a bit of our boys retreat that we had in Tauranga. So yeah, I just thought, why not do it? Let's do it.
It's pretty cool doing something meaningful together. I mean, like we can hang out on that, but I feel like doing something like Movember really brings us together. There's a brotherhood there. Obviously, it's focused on men. And in fact, we're going to show some moustaches, and I'm going to get my friends and my brothers to share some photos about their moustaches, but this is what it looks like. Check them out. Look at Peter's moustache right now. Oh,
look at that.
Look at this. Look. And I will say, this is the first time I've ever had a moustache.
Yeah.
For my whole life, it's always been shaved. Not even a beard. So it was kind of weird for me. I did have people saying, "Oh man, Pasi, it suits you.
Yeah.
And maybe for a while, I was like, "Oh, maybe should I let it go? Should I let it go?" The whole, you feel good when people give you compliments. But no, I'm actually gonna shave it after this. After feeling it for a while, it just feels a bit awkward.
Yeah.
But anyway, what about you? What was it like? Like when people look at you and you got this moustache, do they ask you like, "Hey, are you supporting Movember? Like, what are you doing?" Or like, what's
a few people have recognized it and been like, oh, you're growing a mow because it's Movember. I'm not too sure if they understand the cause of Movember, so I always remind them, like, yeah, I'm growing it to raise awareness for men's health and suicide prevention. But yeah, it was a bit awkward at first because, I think the first two weeks when you grow your mow, it comes out okay, you can manage. But from week 3 to week 4, it gets a bit too long and it gets in the way of your food and drink and, things like that. So yeah, I like the compliments though. It's nice. People always say, oh, you look good with the mow. But yeah.
Have you noticed going around like just seeing other people with moustaches as well? Because I go to the gym like almost every day, and I've started to see a lot of the brothers with moustaches. It's one of those things, when you start buying something like a brand or you got a car, then you start noticing it everywhere.
Yes.
Like you never noticed a red car until you've bought your own red car, and then you start seeing red cars everywhere. Right, but before, and it's the same thing with the moustaches. Like I just looked around, I was like, whoa, everyone's got a moustache here. It's like, that's pretty cool. It just you don't really talk to each other. You don't really ask like, hey, are you supporting Movember? You just kind of just look and you'd be like, you get it.
Yeah. There's this mutual understanding between us and others. And so, a couple of weeks ago when I went to the barber, I saw someone with a mow. He was waiting in line, and I saw him. And I was like, hey, you supporting Movember? He goes, yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely this mutual understanding, and yeah, it's nice. It's a nice cause.
So let me ask you before we get into the whole serious questions, let's do some fun ones.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we can't always be too serious. So we've got some questions here that we got offline, and some fun ones. So let's just ask and see where we go with it. So the first question is, what's one hobby or activity that instantly lifts your spirits? What do you like to do?
Recently, and I think this has been inspired from yourself, is going to the gym and lifting some weights. I never was that guy that would go to the gym and lift weights and and do things like that at the gym. But recently, it's been going to the gym, and it definitely lifts my spirit up. At times when I don't go to the gym, it feels weird. It feels like, you know, I need to do something to build my physical well-being, which then impacts on my mental well-being for the day, right? You feel good. Sometimes you look in the mirror, you look good, and you're like, okay, that lifts my spirits for that day. So that's been my most recent hobby, and it's something that I can control, especially with my timing and making sure I either go early in the morning or at a time in the evening that suits me.
Yeah, I've noticed you've lost a bit of weight too since
Yeah.
since our catch up with the boys in Tauranga.
Thank you.
And that's pretty cool. Yeah, for me, I would say it's the same. Look at me, I just got like this with my moustache. That's so weird. Anyway, look, I like to go work out, and it's something that lifts my spirits. I just feel good. I like to start my day off sweating. You know, just going to the gym, putting in the workout. That's my first win of the day, and everything just compounds. I feel good because I started the day off good. But I also recently, it's just a newfound one, but I went to the movies by myself recently to watch The Gladiator. It was just spontaneous. It was just random. I was just like, you know what? I want to go, because I know my wife and that don't like the violence and all that kind of stuff, all the action stuff. But me, I love this. I mean, I watched John Wick. I mean, that's a really cool movie. But yeah, I went to the movies, and it was pretty cool to just like chill and just watch the movie and be like, yeah, this is cool. I really like it. But anyway, I think it's important for men in general just to do something that lifts their spirits. I mean, we're always working hard, giving, serving, providing. That's what we're meant to do. But it's important for us to take care of ourselves. Hey, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I agree. It's important that we sharpen our axe, you know, or sharpen our saw. And I always think to myself, you know, how often or how quick are we to go and fill up our car with gas when we're running out of gas, than we are to fill ourselves up with time that's much needed for us to refuel ourselves. Because, it's very important. And it avoids burnout, and avoids, all these stresses that you may feel. But I definitely think it's important that our men take time to just focus on themselves.
I will mention there's one other thing I do like, and I enjoy it, is playing Fortnite. I like playing games. Now, people might look at that and be like, where you find time to play a game? Go and do some work. Go take care of your family. No, we do it after all of that stuff is done. And I play Fortnite with my friends online. Do we win games? Not all the time, but it's not about that. It's about hanging out and talking.
Yes.
And be like, hey man, how's the week been? Or how's that thing that you said you were going to do last week? How's it going? Or hey boys, I need help with this. Any of you guys available? You can do that while you're shooting and killing people on the game. But that's one thing I really like, is that whole community and social aspect. That's very important.
Yes.
All right, so what's our next question?
So our next question is, if you could have a superpower to improve your mental well-being, what would it be?
A superpower.
Interesting. I mean, you need a bit of time to think about this, but to improve your mental well-being. For me, it's kind of funny because I've been thinking about this, and it's one of my goals for next year is, I think like everyone else's goals is to work on their diet, right? But for me, my superpower would be to eat anything I want, but remain at a good weight, healthy weight. That will improve my mental well-being, because you look good, you feel good. Yeah, but what about you? What do you think?
Oh, it's a hard one. I've never really thought about this. Never really thought about like I guess a superpower would be if someone gets angry, I'm able to calm them down. That's just kidding. No.
It's funny you think about those things. It's like they're not superpowers; they're skills. All these habits that we have to develop.
That's true. They're not superpowers; they're skills and habits we have to develop. Look, I think I like Superman. That's one of my go-to characters.
Yep.
He is super strong, He is also a good leader, and he uses his strengths for good. So I'll probably, if there was any superhero I'd choose, it would be Superman and Captain America. I think Captain America is pretty cool
Yeah.
because he's a leader.
Yeah.
And I just think it's not about like I'm the best. It's about like I'm here to serve and I'm here to bring everyone together, and we're here to make an impact.
That's it.
I like that. Yeah.
I think one of the things that we should acknowledge in this question is, or for those superheroes, is that they have a purpose. And I would say those of our brethren who go through challenges and trials, they probably feel like they don't have a purpose, like Superman or like Captain America. So perhaps that's something that they can reevaluate. But I think everyone has a purpose. It just takes time for them to figure that out, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like how you put that spin on it.
Yeah.
Around, every man has different superpowers or different strengths, different talents,
Yes.
God-given gifts, and it's important to understand what those are and use it, because that's what makes life even more meaningful. Is being able, you feel like you have a purpose. You're using your talents to make a difference
Yes.
for your family and for the world around you. I love that. The next question is, what's the funniest piece of advice you've ever received about handling stress?
Well, one funny advice, but something I would say with caution is harden up. Take some concrete pills and harden up. But no, that's not what we're promoting here. But I always thought that to be funny because I understood where the message was coming from. But gone are those days, right? Where you just harden up. Now it's all about just being vulnerable and, really identifying what is the issue and addressing it. Being open about it. Hence why the Mo, right? We're raising awareness to everyone about ensuring, it's okay to talk about not being okay and not managing stress.
Yeah, I've heard that one quite a few times. Funny, but borderline funny is harden up. I think I wouldn't say advice, but probably just I'll also say with caution. It's just watching how our dad handles stress, and really growing up. I mean, I've seen him angry and do some funny stuff and say some funny stuff when he's angry, but rarely do I see him angry. And if anybody is angry at him, like, Mum, he just laughs it off.
Yeah.
Or like he just like, it doesn't bother him. He just carries on. And my mum, like, man, that's pretty interesting. Like for me, that's pretty funny, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
As well as using humor to deal with stress, not to hide it, to deal with it. Sometimes it's good to laugh at the hard times.
Yeah. What's that saying? They say laughter is the best medicine. And, that really is true. You share a joke about something and then it just lifts your spirits up.
Yeah.
And so, I like that. I think that probably leads to, making sure you have a different perspective when you look at stress as well, because it does come to how we see things. And I think if you see it in a light way, it can be funny. But if it's something serious, to also address it as well, I think there's a time and place, right? Time and place for things.
Yeah. You don't want to be laughing at someone's face if they're really, really angry.
Yeah.
Make it even worse. Okay, so the next one.
Yeah.
Which movie or song always cheers you up when you are feeling down?
Which movie or song?
I wouldn't have a movie that I watch that cheers me up. I mean, I like watching action movies, anime, and stuff like that. It makes me feel good, but I don't purposely watch it to cheer me up when I'm sad or angry. A song.
It's an interesting one.
You got any favorite songs, music that you've been listening to lately?
Recently, I've been listening to going back to Tunisian Mystics songs, especially that one about 9 to 5, because they're a Polynesian New Zealand group that you can relate to, but their music is just hits the soul sometimes. And so when you listen to it, it's pretty good. It just makes you feel a bit uplifts you especially because that 9 to 5 song, it talks about 9 to 5 work, but also making sure that when you come home, you forget about the dough. I think that's part of the lyrics, which is forget about the money, and just focus on your family or focus on your wife, you know? And so I thought, oh, that's a good way to see it. Because, you know, songs really do help you think mindfully, if that makes sense. You know, if you really listen to the words and not just the beat, you really understand the message, but it helps you to think away from those normal stresses. Like from work, for example, I would turn on the music and listen to some good music on my way home, because that's, you know, my way of zoning out of something stressful. But no, I think that's one way that it cheers me up when I'm feeling down,
I like
especially
that.
after a stressful day.
Nisha Mystic is good,
Yeah,
man. Those guys are awesome. I grew up with Nisha Mystic, and all their songs are just amazing. Even now, you play it today.
Yeah.
I played it the other day. This was like a couple of years ago. I played it during church, like youth activity, and the youth were listening to it. And this was like, you know, it's like past the generation, the old song. But they were listening to it for the people, Nisha Mystic, and they were like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like, yeah, it's Nisha Mystic. It's Nisha Mystic. We're up on this stuff. I'd say another song that really gets me pumped up to like smash a day is The Script. That's the artist, The Script, but it's called Hall of Fame. Now, I like that song because it's talking about achieving greatness, you know, whether you want to become an astronaut, become a leader, become this and that, just go for it. Nice. Just smash it. So I definitely recommend it. The Script. The Script, Hall of Fame.
Nice.
You won't regret it. Okay, so our last, I guess, fun, informal question is, if you could spend a day with any historical figure to talk about life, who would it be and why?
Good question.
Look, I'm always going to go to the Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like if there's anybody in history that I'd love to sit down, just talk, listen, learn from, it would be the Savior, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I would ask a lot of questions around heaven, life after death, family, just everything. And I'll probably listen more than I'd ask questions, because I just feel like everything he says will just be, you know? That's who I would choose. I would, apart from the Savior, you know, he's number one, I'd probably choose another one in the scripture, if I'm allowed to go there.
Of course.
King Solomon. King Solomon, who is the son of King David and Bathsheba.
Interesting.
Because he was the wisest man and the richest man alive at the time. And I just asked questions about, you know, generating wealth, but also just like, how do you get smarter? How do I get wiser? You know, because the wiser, you're a better problem solver, better critical thinker, better at making decisions. Like, that's what I want. So that's who I'd sit down with. How about you?
Interesting. Well, you've taken my first choice, Jesus Christ. That's definitely a given. But as I think about a historical figure to talk about life, who would it be and why? It would probably be someone like Gandhi or Mother Teresa. Key historical figures, especially when it comes to, you know, advocating for the poor and, you know, really doing some of that humanitarian stuff. And the impact that they've had on not only their generation, but many generations, right? There's a lot of biographies right now that you could read about them, but I would talk to them about life because, you know, they've gone through a lot. They've gone through a specific time in history where, you know, it was really difficult to speak up and do those things. And so, yeah, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, but there's many others, you know, there's many others when you think about historical figures. But I think they will definitely know what to do when it comes to service and to purpose and to, you know, help to manage stress.
Yeah, I was just going to say, coming back to the topic of mental health, like, I feel like the people we chose have demonstrated some good resilience. And if there's anybody we should ask questions about how to build that resilience and look after our well-being, it's definitely them.
That's right.
But I think what they all have in common, just me here connecting the dots, is they all love to serve. They all love to help. And I think there's something in that around looking after your well-being is serving people. Serving people. So let's change gears here now. We've had some fun questions, which is good. How much time have we been on the podcast now, Sia? 20. Okay, cool. It's all good. All right, so let's change gears here now, and let's get a little bit more serious, like mental health, right? And our first question here is, why do you think it's important for men to talk openly about mental health? What are your thoughts?
I think traditionally men have always been silent when it comes to their own struggles and their own battles that they're facing. And just like a bottle, when you fill it up with water, it can overfill. And I feel like if a lot of men don't talk about their mental health issues, it fills up, eventually blows up, you know what I mean, and spills over. And so for men to, if you look at, that same analogy with the bottle, you tip a bit of water out, that's you opening up or addressing it in some way so that eventually it doesn't overfill your bottle. And so I think it's really important for men to talk openly about it, because, back in our days, right, it was tapu, or it was not seen as a sign of strength if you open up about your weakness. It was all about just keeping it inside, but not knowing that down the track it was going to impact you and spill over.
Yeah. I mean, what comes to mind is, when people talk about issues and problems, sometimes it can also be seen as gossiping.
Yeah.
And if men open up and be like, hey, you're gossiping, then it puts men off. I feel like, even if, because especially when we're not used to it, when we try and open up about it, it's going to come out funny. It's going to come out unstructured. And I think it's important for people to give men that space to just figure it out. Because it's very new, talking openly about mental health. I think it's one thing to understand and accept it, it's important. It's another thing to figure out how to talk about it and be comfortable with it. That's what I find anyway. That's what I find around that.
I also want to add to that is, this Movember initiative this month, Growing a Moustache, it helps to open conversations about it, right? People ask you, oh, that moustache looks good on you. Or they, and then you ask them, oh, do you know what I'm doing it for? And then you can introduce the topic of Movember and raising awareness for men's health and suicide prevention. And, it opens it up not only for men, but for women, and for women to acknowledge, that sometimes men need to be open about it too. Because women play a vital part in helping men. Oftentimes for me, I open up a lot to my wife, and she opens up to me. And so, yeah, it's important that just in general, there needs to be a normalization of openness when it comes to talking about these kind of issues, especially when it relates to mental health.
Yeah, I like that. It's interesting you bring that up. Even though I wasn't hard out vocal about it, I was on social media. I put a few photos and posts on social media, be like, I'm growing this moustache for mental health, for this reason, for that reason. But this month, I was full on, in front of cameras, in front of the public, talking, speaking, and there were moments where I was like, man, I want to shave this. It feels uncomfortable to be in front of a camera, and once it's captured, it's always going to be pussy with a moustache. But then it made me, I've got to do it. I've got to do it for mental health, to help raise mental health. So I was very uncomfortable, and I'll be honest with that, because I've never grown a moustache before. Yeah. I was very uncomfortable, but I knew that was, I was doing it for a greater cause, for a greater purpose. My desire to help was greater than my own insecurities, feeling uncomfortable about the moustache.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's built my not I wouldn't say confidence, but it's built my desire to advocate for mental health. So even after Movember is finished, I mean the month, like and that experience I'll always take with me, and I think it will always be a part of me. You know.
I mean, you think about it's only 1 month of the year, but really, I mean, raising awareness for men's health and suicide prevention, it should be every day of our lives. I just want to shout out to Tim. Remember Tim? He showed a photo. I'm sure you would have seen a photo that he told me he's never shaved his beard after 10 plus years. And when I spoke to him about, Movember, like you're going to join in, he said he would eventually do it. It wasn't until like mid-November, I was like, oh, what's going on? Is this guy, tapping out? But he would have felt the same way you felt and shaved, other sides of his beard and left the mow. So shout out to Tim for doing that and acknowledging, how important this issue is.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to highlight that too. Also, echo what Peter said is shout out to Tim. Tim, you're the man. Yeah. He told me just yesterday, we caught up yesterday because we're both business owners. We're working on something. He said, Pussy, he was saying, man, I've had this beard for 15 years.
15 years.
15 years having this beard and I've just shaved it. It's like, man, now that's a brother.
Yeah.
That's a brother, And then we've got other people like our brother Hosea. We've got our friend Jimmy as well, who's also on the wagon. So you would have seen those photos. So just a big shout out to our brothers, to our friends. Like, just thank you for supporting this cause and thank you for inviting us to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like it's because of your idea. You've done it before. Like you've got us on the wagon.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So the next question is, what are some societal pressures that men face that impact their mental health?
There's a lot that I can think of off the top of my head, and especially as, a man myself, but I would say, work-related issues, ensuring that, you need to provide for your family, but because of job cuts and things like that that's happening in our current climate, it can really put pressure on them. And also, I guess just it could be the weather, it could be other important issues that's out there that are really impacting our men today. But I would definitely say some of those things, that some of those societal pressures that really impact on a man's ability to provide for their family, that could definitely be a big issue.
There's a lot, man.
Yeah.
You've probably seen a lot of the whole social media the past couple of years, toxic masculinity, like men. It's not fair that men get this. What about women? Like there's so much... I wouldn't say negativity, but it just feels like men are being attacked just for being men, just for breathing in. So, but I just feel like there's a lot of pressure on that. You got to be like, hey, what about us? That's not fair, this and that. So there's all of that outside noise that's happening. But I just feel like, especially if men can't open up about the issues, it just, like you said, it builds up. The pressure builds up internally. So you've got the society stuff, then you've got the internal stuff as well that builds up. And the expectation that people have on men.
Yes.
You've got to be hard.
Interesting.
You've got to step up. You've got to provide. You've got to be this and that. And that's fine. But when you point and you say it that way, you've got to do it in an encouraging way. It's like, man, I love it when you do this. You're a great leader. I love it when you provide, when you work hard for our family. I just wanted to say thank you. Like, that's nice to hear. That's encouraging. Rather than saying, hey, you need to work harder. Hey, you need to do this. That's your job. Well, that's what you're meant to do anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like that. And just as you mentioned, the cultural norms and traditions of men, the expectations, it really is a big pressure on them growing up. And so, for some of those men, shout out to them who are really trying their best to study, to be educated, or to find a job, especially if they're struggling to find a job and doing some of those things. It really is tough on them mentally, and it impacts on their mental health. And so, hold on. There are a lot of supports out there in the community to support you, especially when you think about jobs, right? If you're finding a struggle to decide on a job role or find work, there's plenty of community services out there.
No, I like that. Good advice, bro. So the next question is, have you ever felt hesitant to seek help for mental health issues? What barriers did you face?
Yeah. As part of raising awareness, I want to be open and share my personal experiences. I've gone through some mental health issues, as you know. It's been a few years now since this happened, but I just remember at the time there was a lot going on, a lot. And just like the analogy of a bottle, I was just filling my bottle up to the very top, and then eventually it spilled over. And so, I remember at the time, if I can list a few things, it was my first year in university. I was serious about my relationship at the time. I actually wanted to propose to my now wife. So a lot of pressures there. And then just a lot of other roles and responsibilities that I had. I also felt like I needed to work, And so a lot of that really burnt me out. And it was something I didn't know at the time. I was like, just harden up, keep going. But eventually I knew I needed to seek help because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating much. My thought patterns, my emotions was always very low. And obviously to the point where I experienced a bit of depression. And so it was tough. It was a really tough time for me and for our family. And just with that, not wanting to reach out, it was like, nah, I can do this on my own. But knowing, I needed to seek help for mental health. And so I think when I did seek help, it was through school. But there was a long wait list. And so I think that would be one barrier is, when you do seek help, seek it as soon as possible. Whereas for me, I only sought help a little later when I was starting to feel a bit better. But yeah, there are a lot of things I was researching on, because I wanted to learn a bit more about what this was. So I felt like I was grateful I had a good insight, into my own issues. And so that helped me to manage it rather than relying on, some of these wait lists for counseling sessions and things like that. But when I did get the help, it was really, really good. And a lot of it was around just educating yourself on managing stress and changing your thought patterns, which I felt were quite beneficial. So, I guess just opening up about it, was really tough. Seeking help was really tough. You don't know where to go. I remember I had to talk with someone at school to be like, hey, where do what do I do? And so, they led me down the right track. So, yeah, that was some of the things.
Now, thanks for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. A lot of people will definitely learn from that. I mean, I think we've all had moments like that, where we felt like we've hit rock bottom and feel like no one understands us, or, we feel alone. We feel alone. Or we don't know how to go about dealing with it. I think I hit rock bottom. I burnt out before, and at the time I was doing a lot of stuff. I was doing work. Well, actually, this was during the transition from going from a job, full-time job, into like being an entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur. So like businesses and stuff. So when you're starting a business, and for those who understand, you're doing everything, and it's no longer a 9 to 5. It is more hours than that. And so I was working overtime, trying to get this business, trying to provide for my family, and then a lot of, obviously being a father, being a husband, and all these responsibilities at church. And I just had a lot going on. And but the thing was, when I was when I was on a decline, not when I hit rock bottom, when I was going downhill, I was pretty vocal about it. I was like, man, I feel stressed, I feel that. But I felt like no one was listening. And I felt like the response I always got was, oh, well, because it's your fault. You're not prioritizing. You're not managing your time. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. So that's the only answer I got whenever I said, I feel stressed. I feel like I need to have a break. I feel like it's like, no, you just need to manage your time better. No, you just need to no. But the reality was,
Pressure.
on retrospective, pressure. But I said yes to a lot of things. And I felt guilty saying no. So that was one of the things, like people, hey, Pussy, can I give you this assignment? Pussy, can you do this? Pussy, can you do that? Hey, I just said yes to everything. And I felt guilty if I said, no, I can't. So that's something I had to learn, is how to be assertive. And so over the years, even in business, that has helped me grow the business. And people have given me more respect when I've learned how to be more assertive and not feel guilty saying no. So that's one of the things that's helped me. But also, I've learned that I can't rely on other people. Like say, if I open up, I expect them to listen. I expect them to give me the right answers. I expect them to just be there for me, because no one's perfect.
That's right.
So I can't put that pressure on other people and say like, hey, you're supposed to listen to me. Hey, you're supposed to say the right thing to me. It's like, so I no longer put heavy expectations on people when I'm going through a hard time. It's like, hey, I'm going through a hard time. What's within my control that I can change? And just be careful who you share bad news with, and also be careful who you share good news with. In other words, pick and choose who you open up to as well. Don't just open up to the whole world. Don't be those people who just like feeling a bad day and then post it on social media. I don't think that would help in the long run. But anyway, I think that the moral of the story of what me and Peter are saying here is that there are a lot of barriers, and I think the more vocal we are about it, the more we seek help, then the better.
And one thing I do, just unpacking what you shared, one thing I encourage families who have partners who experience mental health issues but don't know what to do, and they always seem to default, it's you need to change, is to educate themselves. A lot of your languaging, a lot of what you do and say really does impact on that person's mental health at the time. And I remember when I went through my experience, our brother Kalolo, he was there with me. I was lucky he was studying as well at the time, but also at home. And so whenever I would come home, he was there. He would keep an eye on me. He knew what I was going through, the struggles. And so he would just listen most of the time. And he was still unpacking what it was and what I was experiencing. But I think the main thing was he was just there. And sometimes a lot of our families and friends just need to be there and need to be listening. For a lot of those of our brothers who struggle. So, educate yourselves if you feel like you're not really aware of it too much.
And I think that leads perfectly into the next one. You really started on that, was how can friends and family support men who are struggling with mental health? I think, like I mentioned this before, it's just listening, without judging, without saying, look, it's you, it's because of this, just listening. I mean, there's a lot of pressure for men to listen, but where is the listening for men as well? So I think that's important. That's one of the things I thought has been very useful for me, that's helped me. What about for you?
For me, it's just having, old friends and associates or even just family just message. Everybody's using social media nowadays. A quick message, a voice, mail, voice audio message, and then also a video call, really does help someone who's struggling. You may not know it, right? You may not know it, that they're going through a struggle, but it's often those small and simple things that really do uplift someone, and even help them make certain decisions as well. So I think that's one way that friends and family can do to support those struggling. reach out. Reach out, because those who go through struggles, just like I've experienced, it's hard for us to reach out, and seek help. But if family are constantly checking in on people, like checking on their own, that podcast I always listen to, The Morning Shift, they say, check your people at the end of every podcast. And I think that's a good reminder for all of us, just to check our people.
I like that. What steps can society take to reduce the stigma around men's mental health and suicide? That's a big one. That's a big question. What steps can society take to reduce the stigma around men's mental health and suicide? I think one of the coolest things I really enjoyed about the mental health Movember is I've had one or two people who were female ask how they can support and donate to the cause. In other words, they were taking interest in the Movember and wanting to have a conversation about it. Like, for me, that is a huge step to reducing stigma by making it normal to talk about it. We're like, hey, this and that. But that's what I found very helpful. And I feel like initiatives like Movember, we need other initiatives like that throughout the year. Don't just wait till the end of the year. Yeah. I feel like the end of the year, it's almost like a stressful time. Christmas, New Year's. And also it's a hard time right now. Unemployment's on the rise in New Zealand. Like pressure, people losing their jobs and that. So you should imagine all of that. But I feel like going to the gym, in order to stay strong and healthy, you've got to go to the gym consistently. So what's the gym for the mind? But I think there needs to be consistency in order to make a difference around reducing some of these stigmas.
I also, acknowledge those things that are already happening throughout the year in addition to Movember. I think that's a worldwide initiative. But in our society in New Zealand, I know we have recently had Gumboot Friday. That's an initiative, mental health and suicide prevention initiative led by Mike King. And then you have the Mental Health Week. I think that's in September. And so it's a Mental Health Awareness Week that acknowledges, some of these issues around men's mental health, or mental health in general, and just reducing the stigma around that. That's definitely what, just making sure that that's ongoing, that you have open and honest conversations about it, mental health everywhere you go, just normalizing it, and just sharing to everyone that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, well, those are our fun and serious questions that we've gone through. And so hopefully, listening on our conversation, that you've got some good insights. If anything, what we are trying to do is make this a normal conversation. And so we pray and hope that what we're doing here will be the beginning of something more. Like, the more we produce videos and conversations like this and putting it out there, the more awareness we can raise as well. So that's our little way of bringing that. But just so that we can highlight how serious mental health is and some of the issues, here are some research here. So I'll go through, we'll take one each here. So I'll go number one. So highest suicide rates among men. So according to World Health Organization, WHO, 2019, their research around suicide worldwide in 2019, Global Health Estimates, basically summarized from that report, indicates that globally, men account for a significant majority of suicide deaths, approximately 75%. Wow. So that's huge. So around the world, all the suicides that are happening around the world, a majority of them, 75%, are men.
Wow.
Yeah. That's serious.
That is really serious.
That's a huge number for men. What's our next one, Peter?
Our next one is underreporting of mental health issues. So according to the American Psychological Association, or APA, 2019, so this one discusses how societal expectations and stigma often discourage men from seeking help for mental health problems? It's interesting. We've just talked about that normally in our conversation, but the Psychological Association, American Psychological Association, acknowledges that already as a research. So
Yeah, and it makes you think as a society, or if I'm not a man, what can I do to support men as well? Because it says society does influence that as well.
It does.
So the next one is impact of masculinity norms. So this is a big one by Clinical Psychology Review. So the role of masculinity in men's help seeking for depression, a systematic review. So basically summarizes that, explores how traditional notions of masculinity can lead men to suppress emotions and avoid seeking help. I think it goes back to the society thing that we talked about, how there's expectations around how men should behave, how men should speak and do and, behave in society. And because of that, expressing emotions and that, you don't want to be seen as the opposite of being a man or be seen as being weak, because men are supposed to be strong. And so they never open up for help.
Yeah. That's interesting. And, there was a research in 2016, so goes to show that we still got a long way to raising awareness around this stuff of mental health. And, it's okay to not be okay, especially as a man. Yeah. The next one is substance abuse as a coping mechanism. So Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, here it highlights that men are more likely to use alcohol and drugs to cope with emotional stress, exacerbating mental health issues. I'm lucky that I did not resort to that stuff. I think that's, due to my personal beliefs. But knowing already that alcohol and drugs don't really work, it actually exacerbates it, as mentioned here. And so I think it's something that, our brothers need to be aware of, that, don't always go to alcohol or drugs, because I know it's a quick fix from what I hear, but it's not a sustainable fix.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The next one is workplace stress. So according to Mental Health America, Men and Mental Health to 2021, discusses how high expectations related to career success and financial responsibility contribute to increased stress among men. I mean, it's quite obvious. I mean, for years, and that's just 2021. That's recent. But 2021 with COVID lockdown, of course, it's impacted a lot of jobs worldwide. And so I can see that, especially when men are supposed to be the breadwinners.
Yes.
Even myself as a business owner, it's important for me to, sales is a big part of my business success. If I'm not making any sales, I'm not making any jobs, and I'm not making any money. Especially when I've got a team that I'm responsible for. And if I work hard on a sales deal and the client turns around and says, "I'm sorry, I've decided to go with someone else," that hurts, man. Because as for me as a man, I'm like, dang, that's money I could have used to help provide for my family or provide for the team, right? Men have to deal with that. I mean, women have to deal with it too, but I just feel like it's a different kind of vibe when you're a man, because I was raised up, your job is to provide for the family.
Yeah.
Your job is to be the breadwinner. Your job is to give them shelter. Your job is to protect them and give your life for them. So when you lose something like money that could help you fulfill that purpose, then you feel defeated. All right? Yeah, but anyway, I can understand where that's coming from.
Yeah. And the last one here, lack of social support. So examines how men often have smaller social networks and may lack close friendships, impacting their ability to share personal struggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do men have smaller social networks, and I feel like because we're all busy.
Yeah.
We're all busy trying to work, provide, and at the end of the day, we have to be there for our family, this and that. So there isn't any time to network or to socialize. But I feel like that was in 2002, so that's pretty recent. I would have assumed with things like technology, like I just spoke earlier about Fortnite, playing online with my friends, a community, things like that would help. But even then, I feel like it's still an issue.
Yeah. I think nowadays, there's more opportunities and for us to access, social media and things like that, but to use it to network and to catch up and reach out to our brothers and our close friendships. But I definitely know that having, close friendships, expanding your social influence or expanding your social support really does impact on your abilities to share personal struggles. I mean, think about our trip, right, that we had in Tauranga.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, our men's retreat. That was fun. What made you want to organise this? Because you're the one that organised it.
Yeah, well, my wife, and she's done it a few times with her friends.
Yeah.
Like they've gone away, and for me, I didn't think much of it because I'm not used to. It just feels, the idea of the boys hanging out at a weekend retreat sounds weird. It's like, who's got time for that? If you got time for that, you're not being a man. You're not busy enough. You're not productive enough. You're not, you let the woman network and socialize. That's their thing. But in my mind, I'm like, no. But anyway, I had a chat with my wife, and I was like, should I try something like this? That's all it was. I just said, should I? She goes, I think it'll be good. So really, it was just I wanted to try it out. And so obviously we went to Tauranga. We did an Airbnb, and there was like 5 of us that went down. We walked up the mount, we went to the pools, went to the beach, we went and played golf. We did a lot of stuff together. And not having to worry about work and other things, right? And there was a part of us that was like, oh, how's my family, my kids? But honestly, at the end of it, obviously we went to the gym and that too, and it was nice to hang out. I just felt like, man, I need to do this all the time. And it was good to catch up with the brothers. How are you doing? It's like, and we were having fun, playing games, eating food, everything. Yeah. Felt good. Like I felt like I could enjoy life a little bit more. No, I don't know. Just something that it felt weird because it's not what I normally do. But after that, I'm like, nah, I want to do this every year now. Yeah, every year. If anything, after that event, I think if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't all be on the Movember wagon. No, we wouldn't. Be like, hey, what do you think? Now we've got a messenger chat. Yeah. And this is probably like the most that we've ever spoken to each other, like as a group. Years. After many years. After the event, we're just like, hey, almost every week we're posting stuff. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm going to the gym. Oh, keep it up, bro. Hey, this is what I'm eating. Oh, that's awesome, bro. Got any ideas for this? Like, that never happened like 2+ years and beyond before in the past. Yeah. But after the event, I felt a change in my mood. I felt a change in my well-being. And like when I'm going to the gym, I take a photo, put up on the messenger group with the boys. Like, yeah, that's more motivation. I feel good. And I feel the same thing when the boys post stuff. Like when you put your stuff on there, I'm like, yeah, Peter's killing it. Yeah. I better go to the gym. It reminds me, I better go to the gym. Yeah. Reminds me, I better go eat. So I feel like it's helped bring out the best in us. And I feel like it's helped level each other up, having this brotherhood, this little social thing that it's referring to here.
Yeah. No, yeah, I really enjoyed that trip. I remember going back to my wife and sharing, this is something I need to do regularly. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and especially those times we were in the cars driving to and from our activities and just catching up. I remember when we drove all the way there to Tauranga, it was me, you, and Jimmy. And then we reminisced on back in the days when your 21st birthdays. And talk about our friend Jimmy and his walk-in song.
Shout out to our friend Jimmy's 21st birthday back in the day. His walk-in song was Mariah Carey, "Touch My Body." So we better just put that out there.
Yeah.
So you guys know, if you don't know that song, check it out. And when you're listening to it, just imagine Jimmy walking in on his 21st birthday. Oh, sorry, Jimmy. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And don't ask Pasi what his one was.
Yep.
No, I'll say it. I better be fair, eh?
Yeah.
I threw him under the bus.
You gotta say it.
My one was Jay Holiday, Bed. So I didn't just walk in. That wasn't just my entrance song. I actually walked in singing that song. I sang that song. I sang Jay Holiday, Bed, put you to bed, bed, bed. I literally sang that song. And what was funny was there were family members that were crying.
Of course, yeah.
Like they found it very emotional. But I don't think they understood the song because, English was their second language.
Yeah.
But hey, at the end of the day, it's not about the words, it's about the heart.
It's about the heart.
No.
Right.
But hey, look, coming back to what you were saying, bro, like, just love the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Love reminiscing those times. And like you said, we need more of it.
Yeah.
We need more of it.
We do.
And definitely recommend for all our men out there, organize some sort of retreat with your brothers, with your friends. Go away for the weekend. Just one time a year. Just try it out.
Make sure you ask for permission.
Yeah. If you need consent forms, we've got some. We can send them to you.
Yes. Plan ahead. I think that was one good thing that you did was you organize and plan ahead. And we just locked in those dates and commit to those dates. So that's really good.
Yeah, as long as you got the date, as long as you know who's coming and you got it all paid for, and for the most part, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
It's like, what should we eat today? Let's go try here. Let's go this. What do we do? You know?
It was nice to catch up with our cousin, Sione.
Yeah.
As well. So, I thought that was good. You know, if you're going into a city or a town where family is, try and reach out to them too. And so it was nice that you organised for us to catch up with them.
Yeah. Tauranga is a good spot, and I recommend that you go there. Definitely recommend that you go there.
Good.
So we're throwing that in there, Tauranga. If you get a lot of tourists, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're very welcome. But look, I think let's wrap it up here. You know, it's been a really good conversation. Like I said, let this be the beginning of many more conversations. And thank you for tuning in and listening to us. And, look after yourself, look after your families, and most important, look after your mental health.